So yeah, I think this combo is really strong and nice in lane. They see it into the Medusa as well, and they know that between them they have no real way of stunning and locking them down in lane, so they can kind of do whatever they want. They can cut waves, they can dive the tower. There's nothing to really stop them from playing their lane out.
Well, I have a special treat for you guys and everyone at home as well.
Oh my gosh.
It's not just going to be us three for the end of this draft. We're also going to be able to bring in the casters. We're going to be bringing in Mike and John. If these two would please love to join me. I got some questions I want to ask. Oh my gosh.
John,
Mike, John, you guys are looking great today. Thank you for joining us. I got to ask you guys about this draft. Give me a little bit of a quick summary and maybe even a prediction for this last pick.
Prediction for the last pick? It's a bit tough to call. I think overall the drafts are looking pretty darn good. I like NGX draft a little bit more because you give Alacrity one of his Spirit Brothers down mid. You have Mizu's Darkseer, which he plays really well, and we've seen him do quite well with in the past 6 months. I think NGX has been putting that on and off. So it's a strong, solid combination to have. Really strong lane to run down. Going to make it a little bit tough for that Dusa, and I think if Natsumi gets pressured a bit too hard, it can be a bit tough for Polaris to kind of get room going, especially with the pressure NGX's entire lineup can pull out with the push potential of the DP as well.
Is that how you feel as well, John?
John, is that how you
I mean, John, mine?
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
hell?
My brain just stopped working. I'm so sorry. I think my brain was going to be like, thanks, John. Is that how you feel, Mike? And then the words got mixed up.
I do feel very similar, though. I gotta say, I don't know how to feel about JohnXFire right now with those glasses. I feel like ever since his internet's been messing up a little bit, he's just gone straight into the Matrix now. It's very intimidating for me to be, with Neo himself, and very, very excited, I've got to say, though. You look fantastic, John.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Well, we are seeing a little bit more coming out from this draft in terms of bans. So back here on the couch, is there any predictions you guys have for last picks?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Or anything that you want to ask Mike and John while they're here? How was your break, guys?
No, I don't want to hear about John's
okay.
break. John, how does it feel to be a real member of the Talon org now?
It feels great. I'm looking forward to playing anything but Dota with the team.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how my cast works out, whether or not that bias seeps in. I'm sure Mike's going to have a good time with that as well. I'm sure you're keen on casting that game tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm hoping that other organizations that are against Talon hire me, and that way we can balance out the bias a little bit and, have a bit of fun. But yeah, no, congratulations to JohnXFire, the ever popular JohnXFire, who always gets every opportunity,
Mike,
every single time. I mean, do people even know who I am anymore? Do people even know who I am?
You're me. We just heard that. We were having that conversation. People mix us up. You're just me now, Bob.
I was about to say, now I feel bad for accidentally calling you John. Now I feel like I've added fuel to the fire. But yeah, what org are you reaching out to, Mike? Which one you putting your letter in for?
Whoever pays the highest. That Boom T1, call me. Call me, I need it, please.
Troll coming out as the last pick for Nigma, though, heading back to this draft. And John, is this something you expected?
10 seconds remaining.
It does fit what NGX likes to do. It's a very tempo-based core for In Your Dream. He can choose to play slower. He can choose to play a lot faster with it. You have a lot of build-up now for the Troll as well. Diffusal's a lot cheaper. Maelstrom's still good. So it does allow them to pick and choose what tempo they want to do on NGX. And I think, considering the experience they had up against Polaris in Div 2, where they did manage to take a game off of Polaris, I think having that flexibility is going to be really important. And they've got really strong win conditions now on NGX. Like, the lane doesn't look too bad. DP plus Troll is pretty darn solid. Troll is not something we've seen In Your Dream play too much, although, he's much more well-known for stuff like Luna, Terrorblade. But this is something that we've seen from him a couple of times as well, and he does perform to a really high level. So I like that Troll pick. I think, again, the itemization's really open, and if you itemize right, you can take care of that Dusa.
You definitely made me feel confident in this Troll. And Sheep, looking at the end of Polaris here.
Well, no, I like it. I mean, Polaris have kind of set themselves up where Nigma can't have heroes that do anything. You stick the Shadow Demon ult on a Ember and he's lost all of his buffs. He's finding it hard to move around the fight. You doom Troll. now you don't have a troll. Who do you have? Who do you have? Like, I mean, they have a lot of shutdown. They have a lot of like, we're gonna try and deal with your team, and our Medusa's just gonna like carry us. It's like and they have like Legion as well to save her. They have Shadow Demon to save her. This is very much a Dusa carry us. Yeah. We'll do our best to stop them.
And they don't have that big playmaker. That's my main worry. Like they've got a Doom as well as Legion. It just feels like they are all in on this Dusa going late game, because otherwise, like, you know, Legion's not gonna run around making plays happen. So they're gonna have to sit back and hope Medusa can do what she does best.
Yeah. Well, look, the last time these two teams faced off against each other, it went to all 3 games. It went for 3.5 hours. So all I'm saying is, if you love Dota, damn, this is the series for us to kick off the Southeast Asia DPC tour. But please, John and Mike, take us away.
Oh, thank you so much, Nat. It is indeed MLP Dota and John X Matrix. John, you're looking brilliant as usual. Very, very cool with the shades, by the way. Just before we do go live, can you actually see right now?
I can see it's a bit blurry. I tried streaming yesterday for 3 hours, and it was very tough, but manageable. Yeah, I need the shades because, you know, when I take them off, my eyes are very tiny right now, very sensitive to light. What I'm not sensitive to is good Dota, Mike. And you know, we were closing out that draft with the Doom pickup. It's actually Lelouch playing the mid LC, and where did we see that before, Mike? Do you remember an LC matchup versus a melee mid laner? I distinctly remember that, and I'm really keen to see how much Lelouch can bring out with that mid LC, because, you know, moment of courage is kind of busted, Mike.
They didn't fix it yet?
I don't
like,
think
I've been away for the past week. They actually haven't oh my, all right, fair enough, John. This is going to be a bit problematic, I think, for the mid lane of NGX, but let's see how it all pans out. Game number 1 of the SEA DPC Division 1 set to get underway between NGX.SEA and, of course, Polaris Esports. John, I know you were in particular going kind of with the NGX draft. Fair enough. I kind of lean towards Polaris myself, but I do appreciate the points you and I were making in the background. The Nyx Assassin, it's very hard to go. What is it, John? What are you laughing about already?
I love the stickers here from NGX. You see that? Like, pointing at each other. Miracle and miracle. Ah, gotta love it.
Which never happened, sadly. We never got to see it. Very, very upsetting. Still, Mavis going to run into Mizu, rather Mizu into Mavis. Bit of damage out onto the Darkseer, but nothing right home about us. Now Jocam's going to come in for a little bit. They can't really lock anyone down here from Polaris, though, so I don't really see them being able to kill anyone, though a lot of damage has been dealt here to Jocam. Natsumi going to move back in, but they don't seem to want to deal with the Death Prophet. That's going to mean a 2-for-2 trade on the bounties anyway, as they do go back to their respective lanes. We may as well start with the bot lane, Jonathan. You do see currently In Your Dream being chased down here by forces. They give a nice high five to each other. Of course, you're going to have Xavius there as well on the Shadow Demon. And lovely to see we've got even more stickers to be placed.
Yeah, it's good to see. I mean, looking forward to what Force can do on that Doom. You and I have had that conversation about this hero and the changes to neutral camps. And it just feels like Doom is probably the best hero that uses those neutral creeps, because you can't kill them off with, say, Mirana. You just have the abilities on hand once you have Devour, and with the added armor now on Devour, which is not in the tooltip, which is always fun, it's much harder to shove Force away. So I feel like this is a lane Force should be at least able to equalize farm. It's not going to be the toughest lane for NGX, but because of how durable Force is, I don't see any kill opportunities coming through. In Your Dream's likely just going to prioritize that early farm here.
But it goes both ways, I suppose, as Force. Well, he's taking a lot of damage now here from In Your Dream, but he's going to be just fine. Of course, over to the top lane, you've got Jocam and Mizu against Mavis and Natsumi. It feels like another one of those lanes, right, John? Like, you can push the lane in with the double Iron Shells, but chances are Natsumi should be just fine. Especially when you've got this Pos 5 Weaver who can harass so easily.
Yeah, then you really have to invest in the sentries early on. We already saw the D ward coming through from Mavis. This lane for NGX is strong, but it takes a few levels. You always point out that level 2 Iron Shell whenever you see a Darkseer. That's still going to be level 3. A few more minutes until that point. Until then, it's a very comfy lane for Natsumi. Still finding that CS, not going to be zoned out. And the one thing about Medusa, it's really lane dominant. With Mystic Snake up against 2 melee heroes, it's really easy to get some good bounces and get some good damage off to keep them away.
Oh, I bet. And you see Mavis being chased down, protecting that courier. Jocam and Mizu are going to be unable to finish that one off. And of course the mid lane, John. Lelouch and Alacrity against each other. Of course, you kind of brought up the whole moment of courage issue here for Alacrity. I think even without the bug, it's kind of hard to go against the LC as Ember. You can see Lelouch having a very good time thus far, at least in terms of CS 13 and 2. Do you think Alacrity needs to do anything in particular to try and even out or win this lane here, John? Or do you think Lelouch just has it?
I think Lelouch just generally has a little bit of a better time. For Alacrity, runes are a lot more important for him. LC's not a natural bottle carrier, so we have to see NGX contest at the 4-minute mark, 6-minute mark for Alacrity to kind of even out the lane. He is getting some good harassment out. Lelouch isn't able to get as much, but once you do get to press the attack and run up with Moment of Courage at level 2, it can just take away half your HP. The good news for the Ember is you don't lose your Flame Guard. The bad news is you don't block that damage.
Jokam getting very close to falling. So is Lelouch right now on that LC. Alacrity going to get a little bit closer, but doesn't have the sleight of fist to try and finish off the job. Everything quite smooth so far for both these sides, as no kills have come out yet. We are still waiting for that first blood. In Your Dream and the Deucer on the other side still having a very good time. I mean, just no contest in these off lanes here for either team, as both position ones having just a splendid time right now. John just CSing. That does seem to favor the Deucer though, right? Or do you think the early advantage for In Your Dream makes that big difference here against the Deucer, perhaps?
Nah, I think the Deucer still has a great time. Looking at In Your Dream's item build-up here, Mike, he's going for Battle Fury. We talked about that varied build-up. Battle Fury is going to mean that there's a lot of scaling for In Your Dream towards late game, but that initial farm, he's going to be lagging behind the Deucer for quite a while, and he's not going to be participating in fights. So naturally, the Deucer is just going to have higher throughput in the jungle, clearing out stacks, and that's something that NGX has to be ready to compensate for with her 4 heroes while In Your Dreams becoming that big win condition.
Which is rather interesting, right? Because I thought maybe we'd see the Diffusal Blade pick up here from this Troll Warlord, considering he is against the Deucer, but, well, like you said, the Battle Fury is the build-up that we do see Troll Warlord going for right now. Still no kills happening on the board yet, John. Very, very quiet game thus far. As bot lane, maybe I've just jinxed it because Force is in trouble. Paulson will get the Spirit Siphons off, and In Your Dream just hoping for an ensnare. Already found one, just needs another, and in fact, never mind, he doesn't. Paulson will get the job done with the Crypt Swarm, and that'll be first blood to go the way of NGX.
An important kill to find, getting some relief for In Your Dreams lane. It's been a bit tough for him. He's been dealing with a mana burn on the Doom, as we've seen that before as well. Very painful for a troll. Can't spam out his spells and just feels awkward in trying to harass out a Doom. So they get some relief. That's mainly down to the fact that you don't really have a support sitting there. I mean, we've seen a lot of movement out from Xavius, focusing on the jungle, focusing on getting some stacks, not really looking for that opportunity.
He's getting aggressive here, John, but no lucky procs in the Moment of Courage. I think he only needed one proc to really get that kill, but doesn't quite get so lucky, so Alacrity is going to be able to survive for another day, and will stick around in the lane. Lelouch will do the exact same, though Lelouch does have a bit better passive healing, I'd say, with those double braces. Alacrity doesn't really have any kind of regen to fall back on, though. In the meantime, top lane, John. 3 heroes up there right now from NGX, chasing down Mavis and the Weaver of all things. Problem is, he is a Weaver, so chances are you are not going to be able to catch him.
You do have some hold. Mavis still has the Shikuchi, though.
That he does, and he'll just run away from the Siphon. And in the meantime, mid lane, Lelouch actually ends up getting a duel victory. We kind of debated the producer there for a second. My apologies, cameraman. But Lelouch does find his first victory of the night. In fact, in the meantime, bot lane, you even end up losing In Your Dream here as Force and Xavius get rather aggressive and end up finding another great kill.
They saw the 3 heroes up top. They knew the troll was a sitting duck. And you've got the levels, you've got the damage output from Force with the level 3 Scorched Earth. You just need setup from Xavius, a couple of Shadow Poison stacks. Easy work.
We do find a kill, at least on the other side of things, as NGX now finding the Weaver. Much harder to kill to get, but once you land that Impale from Jokam, it becomes a much easier kind of story. As now mid lane Alacrity still being kind of harassed out. Lelouch has another duel, and he has help on the way. Xavius has shown up, but Jokam's also there just in case Alacrity needs the help, and they won't go for the duel in the end anyway. But I've got to say, John, this is great news for Polaris Esports. Look at that CS from this Medusa. I mean, Natsumi's having the freest game of his life so far.
Yeah, it's been really free lane. They were forced to rotate 3 heroes from NGX to relieve that. They didn't even stop to do so. They just killed off the Weaver. And you're still building up stacks as well in Xavius. In between that time, he shows up mid. So there's still a lot of farm left for Natsumi to find. And there's no answers yet from NGX. I think we have to see level 6 to come out, especially in Jokam. We need that Nyx to be able to hunt down the Dusa, maybe with a backup of the Ember, start applying some pressure on the map there. You still have that issue here where you are going for that Battle Fury in your dream. He's not going away from that build at all. So it's still the battle of late game scaling, and it just feels like in that interim period while your troll gets a Battle Fury +1 item, maybe even +2, the rest of Polaris is going to be very ready to fight. Like, it doesn't take much for an LC, it doesn't take much for a Doom to just put themselves out there and start fighting. Whereas for NGX, even an Ember needs a little bit of build-up, and considering Alacrity's lane, it's not, you know, it's not the best output for that Ember being 2 levels behind an LC. So those spikes for NGX are kind of stalled out, and that's something they have to be very cautious about.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Lelouch is just going to have a brilliant game here on this LC, and well, it's going to give him more time for Natsumi to be able to just keep catching up in that farm. And Mizu now top lane. He'll be chased down by Mavis for a moment, but he won't go too far. Mid lane, Lelouch getting very aggressive onto Alacrity, but will not go for the duel once again. Though he does have a double damage rune up top if he does spot it out. Might be able to go ahead and snag that and maybe set up for a bit of a dual kill. But, well, for now, even with the vision, they're actually leaving the double damage rune. In fact, never mind. My map's playing up. There is no double damage rune.
No, it's in the bottle of Alacrity already. So he's kind of ready to go if he sees that opportunity to be aggressive. He doesn't have the full Art of Corrosion. He does have a Lightstone coming in at the very least. So his right-click output with max Sleight of Fist is kind of up there. And they are making their way up top. It is Mavis once more that's only showing in that lane. Not the biggest kill, but you kind of need every single, you know, small thing you can get here.
Well, they're going to try and lock him down, though. It's not going to be that easy as Jokam never got the Impale off, though. Mavis now without Sakuchi should be in big trouble, and they will get the stun in the end. This little pick up there for Jokam on the Nyx Assassin, and Alacrity, he does get something for his trouble and his time. Again, though, I worry they're not really addressing the big issue, which is this LC and is this Dusa. Hell, even the Doom by Force is having a great time, John. Just escalating in terms of net worth, and now top 3 net worths are all cores from Polaris Esports.
Yep, they're just having a great time farming up in the jungle. You're sacrificing your supports. You don't care too much about that. The push coming through from NGX isn't that high. So even with this 3-man clump up top, they don't have Exorcism to play with to get the tower out of it. And that just gives Polaris more time to work their jungle and more time to get what they can from top jungle to clear out that bot set of stacks. Look at these massive stacks for Natsumi. Easy farm coming out from him, and this Deuce is going to be a big problem, especially, again, considering the troll is going for a farming build as well. So you're already losing that farm war at this point.
Oh, you certainly are. It's Mavis pretending to try and help out with Sakuchi, John, but we all know he was soaking XP there, Mavis. Don't you worry, we won't tell Natsumi. It's Alacrity now. He's going to be spotted out by Mavis. Mavis does get the Invis rune, so Alacrity kind of missing out on the power rune that he did want. And again, it's just a very... It feels like a very slow game from NGX. See, they've got a game plan that they're going to follow anyway. It certainly feels a lot scarier for them as the net worth continues to escalate now 4K in the way of Polaris Esports at 10.5 minutes in. That's a lot of gold for 10.5 minutes with only 5 kills in a game. Surely there's another game plan here for NGX. Like, are they really that powerful throughout the mid to late game?
I think they feel confident because you can always turn Dedusa against them. You can always turn that Legion Commander against them with the Wall of Replica. So you can get the replicates off with a good blink initiation from Mizu. They do manage to eventually melt that top tier 1. Not the biggest objective to take. You can see Polaris looking to equalize down bot. And I think as these belts are being held on, as the farm war plays out, it just feels a lot better for Polaris as we've seen. The issue for NGX is, like, yeah, you'll eventually get that blink up on Mizu. It feels like you're going to need the Ags as well for the double Iron Shell. You're going to need the normal punch coming through with the Ag shard at 15 minutes in, if you can find that farm at that point. And maybe even something like a refresher has to come through as well, just to get even more walls out. It's so much farm you need on the off lane to play make, which is one issue for NGX. They don't have that big, easy team fight. You need a lot of farm in the Darkseer to get that done. We do have Vendetta up on Jokam, so you can scout around, but you've got good sentry coverage here from the side of Polaris, so it's not the easiest way to find those kills.
I mean, not only that, John, but it's just too late. Like, the stacks have already been taken, and while Jokam can scan out the future stacks, right now he's being caught out by Xavius. Disruption is there. Jokam, he's going to pop the Carapace. Xavier's looking for the Purge. Lelouch trying to break the gap to get the duel off, but he does not have Tumbler's Toy. It was on cooldown. And had it not been, he may have been able to close the gap, but he just didn't have enough in the end.
Nice little use of time there for Jokam, kind of distracting the side. Mizu, though.
It's a big kill, Lelouch. He'd love this one, and he's got plenty of damage available to him. Jewel is out, and it's going to be such an easy kill as now. They'll try and go on the Ember. Alacrity, though, will be fine. You don't have the lockdown now with Lelouch, but it's another bit of Jewel damage and just more farm and gold to go the way of Polaris Esports. Again, NGX, they are yet to really find anything worth value. Natsumi, I mean, he'll get stunned mid lane, but you've got nowhere near enough damage to deal with him right now.
You only have the level 1 mana burn right now in Jokam, so that easy way of clearing out the shield isn't quite there yet. And eventually you're going to need the Dusa to have a lot more stacks to really get good burn going as well. The good news for NGX here, Mike, is that In Your Dream is farming uncontested, so none of the action's been close by to our troll. It's still a huge disparity. It's almost 3k gold up for Natsumi, 2.8k right now. And the Battle Fury, sure, it's going to even it out, but once Battle Fury's out, it's going to take, what, 5 more minutes for you to even out this kind of gap? It just feels pretty tough right now for NGX. I think the best plan they have is to just wait for those items. Wait for that build-up, maybe wait out Alacrity to finish up the Maelstrom to have some more damage output as well. And you kind of start going from there once your Ember and your Darkseer set up to initiate for you.
At least you do have the Blink Dagger now coming out on Mizu, so the Darkseer does have some decent initiation for the side of NGX. Because they can kind of abuse that little timing to try and get something done here. In the meantime, though, bot lane, you're going to find a Nyx Assassin kill here for Force. The Doom does get a nice, easy pick off on his own, and, well, speaking of Blink Daggers, Force already has one on the Doom. Again, very concerning signs for NGX, because just nothing's happening for him. In fact, top lane now, Paulson's going to be chased down. Lelouch, he does have Jewel up, but again, he won't have anything like a blink to close the gap. So at the end, he's going to have to let them go, though Alacrity does have to be a little bit wary because Lelouch is looking for that Jewel and still chasing. He might be able to close the gap for this, but does he have the damage on his own? It doesn't seem like he's confident. He might need to back off now because the rest of NGX have rotated over. And it's a 5-on-5 in the mid lane, or rather a 4v5. They even drop the wall onto Natsumi. But what comes out of this? I mean, while this is happening, John, Force is just solo pushing the bot lane. Someone's got to address that. In NGX, all they get is a kind of relocation towards the dire jungle, but is that really worth?
If they can maybe apply pressure in the top tier 2, I think that could be worthwhile, but without the wall, taking these team fights are a lot harder. And just look at the coverage from Polaris. They just drop sentries everywhere. They know there might be plays coming through.
They're not going to be able to find Jokam this time, though. He is out of range. Xavius does have Dust up, so maybe he could still find him. In fact, Jokam doesn't have Vendetta, and now the Shadow Poison, it does connect. Uh-oh, they know exactly where Jokam is, and that probably means another bit of Jewel damage to come out for Lelouch as he rushes his way in. Xavius has got the setup. Jewel, though, is not there yet. They've got a nice impale. Jokam trying to die before the Jewel is there, but it's not going to happen. They've got plenty of vision. And it's going to be plus 30 Jewel damage now for the LC. It's NGX. They're going to find a way to at least defend this mid-tier 1 tower, but it doesn't seem like they've got even that, John. Natsumi will just calmly take it. Is In Your Dream will focus on just farming up that Battle Fury, and now does have it. But you've lost so much in the process.
They've got to be able to just keep stalling out for the troll to build into what he wants. It looks like the Yasha into BKB here for In Your Dream. That should allow him to stand forward, maybe use the battle trance to turn a fight. Feels like there will be a bit of a lack of damage going up against that. You're going to really rely on some good mana burns coming out from Jokam, good stuns and combinations coming out from the rest of the team. The side of Polaris are just so comfy. Like, the fact that you can show your Dusa mid to siege by herself for the most part is a concerning sign. And NGX, they need more time to keep building up. This is a rather slow game for both teams, as you've already pointed out. 3-5 with a 9k lead, but I think it's just that Polaris understands what NGX wants to do, and they just know what they can get away with because of that. They know that playstyle of taking it slow. They know that forcing the issue isn't really necessary here.
Bot lane Force getting aggressive again, though this time Alacrity going to pop the DD rune and try to fight back. Doom is available though, and Natsumi's around the corner, so now they'll just try to turn. Polison, he'll go for a run with the pig stick, but it's not going to be enough. In fact, now the Ember still melting. They'll try with Mizu and the Wall of Replica. In fact, In Your Dream now going to even show up to try and help out. In the meantime, the Ember is still burning out and does go down. Force had barely enough damage, and now with the dual out, Lelouch, he's going to find even more against NGX. They get nothing. They get absolutely nothing here for all their trouble. Polaris Esports winning another great team fight.
The Medusa just looked way too juicy up front. You already had the shard coming through here from Mizu, so you had some tools to play with. Just not enough to deal with how much Natsumi has. He's got the Manta, he's got an Ultimate Orb, along with the Dragon Lance. He has a lot of HP, a lot of EHP with a shield. Just not enough to burn through. You don't have the damage coming through. Really good use of the Doom out from Force. Dancing around in the middle, they didn't have the burst damage to melt down that Doom. And they just get dragged into this long fight, even forcing In Your Dream to show up. Like, this is not the outcome you want for NGX. We talked about it. They just need to keep stalling for the troll, need to keep playing as 4. You do not want In Your Dream anywhere close to these fights.
Oh, they're not even going to find Mavis here. Lelouch was out with the press the attack into the time lapse, so just no killing the Weaver. Just terrible, terrible signs here for NGX.SEA is still kind of looking for a bit of an opening in this game, number 1, but it does seem like at this point you are literally just trapped, trying to catch up in farm. And I just don't see how else you do it at this point. 11k behind against the Deuce of Doom and LC, just, it's a rough position. Is there a point in item timings here for Alacrity on Your Dream, John, where you could see them going for a bit of a turn?
Maybe around the point where you get a Lincoln, so you get BKB up or something defensive on Alacrity, and then you can play around with the Ember as your front line. Try to use the Sleight of Fist damage he has. Level 20 is a pretty good mark for the Ember, so that talent spike's also big. I just worry that by that point, Polaris is able to equalize that power spike, because they've got that 13k lead. They're also having a really good EXP spread here. You've got the BKB up in Forest. NGX, it just feels like they need to play around Jokam and Mizu, right? Like, just play around with your Nyx Vendetta-ing, be ready with the Emperor to jump in, find some isolated targets, and just rinse and repeat. Like, you see Force sometimes running down bot lane, he's all by himself. Maybe that lack of vision is just playing up here for NGX. They only have that one defensive obs ward right now in the bot jungle, nothing else offensively, so they can't really tell where Polaris is fully in their own jungle, and that just allows Polaris that security to just play like this. Like, they're just kind of farming where they can. They're not really caring about the precision, and Force is just so far forward.
Yeah, he's going for kills by himself. Force, no fear in the world, just rushing for the Darkseer, and he might have him. Just with the Doom damage alone, it might be enough, as now Jokam's going to try and back off, but they've got the TP cancel. And towards the south, this Darkseer is still burning, just slowly, as he does barely survive Mizu. Do they find him out? Force, he's going to have a look around in that tree line. Mizu going to run right into him, and look at the reaction speed. Force finds him immediately and gets him down. It'll be another double here for the Doom, and another situation where NGX just cannot fight back.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because we talked about them playing behind those two heroes. No one else was fair. They opted to instead just keep farming up, which, to be fair, is the right call at this point, considering that, again, there's a severe lack of damage to deal with even the Doom. So they are using this time well to just build up on In Your Dream, build up on Alacrity, but they could run the risk of losing objectives. Bot tier 2 faults, Outpost is open for the taking. Roshan starts to become a real possibility for Polaris, and NGX doesn't have enough map control to contest that. Like, their map is pretty dark. They haven't taken enough towers to even out map control.
They're going to try now, John. Big smoke out. NGX. They're going to find Xavier's. Impel will allow, but Natsumi, he might try to protect with the Stone Gaze. In Your Dream, he'll keep going. He's not petrified yet, and they do at least get the Shadow Demon, but what's it going to cost them? Polison, he'll be jeweled up. There is a nice vacuum, but it's not going to be enough yet, though. In Your Dream, we'll move back in, but the time lapse is there. Mavis, he'll survive another day. There's a great Impels out from Jokam to try and hold them back, but it's not going to work out, as In Your Dream is just way out of position now with the battle trance. He is set to die, and he will. They do at least get Lelouch, and in fact it does seem like it was a positive team fight for NGX this time around. Very close call, and they still lose that POS 1 troll, but I suppose it's probably the best fight they've had all game.
Definitely is. Like, it works out as a huge net worth swing with Lelouch kind of getting hit a lot by those illusions. Really great wall coming out from Mizu to get the damage going for his team. Again, using the enemy team against him. And this should give them a little bit more time to play with. You are starting to pile more onto Alacrity off the back of that fight. And because In Your Dream dies, it stalls out his progress on his next items. He is working towards that BKB next. I think the BKB Basher is going to be the big timing now for a troll. Having that control through BKB, having that control for the DPC is going to help massively for NGX. So they've got a lot of fight in them. I think the one big issue with that kind of fight is it was so far away from any objective that they can't really even out map control. So they even out net worth very slightly, but the map situation is still the same. The wards are pretty much gone at this point. They need to reward. Again, maybe looking for more defensive wards down bot to punish Polaris overextending, but that's a big concern. You know, you're just not able to split push as well. You're not able to secure farm from these lanes as safely because your map is pretty much dark.
Certainly is, John. We are going to have a quick disconnection out by Mizu, but it does seem like he has rejoined the game, so hopefully we'll be back underway at any moment. So again, NGX, just kind of signs of life now in that previous team fight. Definitely great to see from this Radiant team, but you've got to wait for a little bit more. I mean, they are still 14k net worth behind. So if you can just keep that farm up, allow In Your Dream that time, eventually he'll become a bit of a powerhouse, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier. Of course, that wall of replica going to be a bit of a nuisance here towards Polaris later on, especially if you can get that Medusa clone. In top lane, Mavis may get scouted out here by JoeCam very soon with that Vendetta. It looks like he is spotted out now, JoeCam. Oh, he gets that very nice spike carapace into the impel, and that's going to be a nice little kill there for In Your Dream. And those kills, John, they don't seem like much, but they do start to add up.
And because of the net worth advantage of Polaris, it's a pretty worthwhile kill. A lot of gold going the way of NGX off that little Weaver support kill. It does look like Force might be wanting to play back, but doesn't really have the backup of his teammates. And now NGX can secure more space for themselves. They're taking the top jungle once more. They're clearing out some farm, forcing Polaris to focus around a triangle, focus on the bot jungle if they can, and just take this opportunity to even out. I think for the side of Polaris, they're kind of set to have this big spike. They've got the Ags already up on Xavius. So 3 charges of Demonic Purge, break available. Once he gets the Ag shard as well, with the Demonic Cleanse, then you have a lot of defensive and offensive utility ready to go on Polaris, and they will look to maybe play around that.
Right now, Alacrity immediately going to be spotted, but a great remnant backwards. This Polaris Esports immediately going to have their smoke broken. Well, Lelouch so close to being able to get that jewel off, but they'll go for the Roshan instead. I mean, clearly they want the fight. They'll force it by just going after Roshan, and NGX will be forced to try and respond to this. As they rush up immediately to the Radiant Triangle, but nobody's there. So now it just seems like Polaris Esports have got a free Roshan on their hands. They'll go for it, and NGX, surprisingly, are not going to try and respond to this.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I mean, they've got Vac Wall, they've got a lot of AoE spells with the Nyx follow-through as well. But giving one Roche away towards Polaris at this point, 2 lives on Natsumi, burning him down in these fights, becomes a lot harder. Like, you still have Nyx. If he can live through 2 lives of DPC, maybe that's one way. I don't know if JoeCam's going to be able to get himself in a good position to get that done. At least not until his Ags is up, which is still a ways off. And Polaris now can choose to do what they want. I think they should start clearing out top lane, take that tier 1 out, control the triangle fully. And they are in position to get that done, start applying pressure to some tier 2s. NGX are going to have to try to find something with the smoke, catch someone out. Probably not to do so though. 2 lives is pretty hard, Mike.
Certainly is, John. Well, Polaris Esports going to stick as pretty much 4 right now, so if they want to try and smoke up, it's not going to be an easy fight here for NGX.SEA. Now their triangle has been taken, and they'll have plenty of vision of this. NGX still trying to find a way into this, but it just doesn't look like the fight for them. So they'll try to catch Mavis and the Weaver, but they do end up missing the vacuum. And smoke will amount to nothing. It's Polaris, they'll just go for the top tier 2 tower. As like you said, John, they have that second life on Natsumi. There's really nothing to be afraid about. In fact, we're saying second life, but with that 9-second BKB, he's practically got a third.
Yep. Just a lot of time for Natsumi to get that DPS going for his team, and a lot of EHP to sustain that. 2 towers just gone, no defense coming out from NGX, still trying to get that build up. They do have the BKB on In Your Dream flying out now, so he does have some spell immunity to play with, but a severe lack of damage is there. You know, no Basher as well, still no control to kind of catch heroes out, and Polaris still steady at 15k, so I don't think they have too much to worry about. Again, they can just kind of run where they want. They do have to be a bit careful about splitting up, but it's not like NGX is exactly clumped up to make use of these strategies yet.
Oh, nice duel out. They dust him up at the right moment, and that'll be another bit of duel victory here for Lelouch, who just hit level 18. So a bit of bonus value here for the LC. Natsumi again moving into that mid-tier 2 tower. NGX, I asked John if they're going to respond to this, but again, it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, I think considering their situation, they feel pretty confident about their high ground, which is fair. You know, they've got the Darkseer, they've got the Vac Wall to always play with in that tight ramp area. So I think they understand that they can just sneak away, get whatever jungle farm they can, and just focus on the high ground. Don't give any openings towards Polaris. With their lead, it's just too hard to pierce through a lot of their heroes, and just try to outplay them in the high ground. So we'll see how much they can get done. They are starting to clump up as Polaris look to be ready to commit mid here.
They've got everything right now. All spells are up. There's just nothing to hold them back as the smoke is broken immediately by Natsumi. Mizu's jumped in with a normal punch, but what's that gonna do? Doom is out, Mizu. He's been caught immediately. They might just have to deny him off. And they'll try, but Force, he still gets the kill. They mistime it. On the brighter side, Natsumi is completely out of mana right now, so perhaps you could at least get the Aegis timing down, though. Jump is Lelouch. He's in onto Jokam. Jewel is there. They've got another one. In fact, a great stun out. Force, he even found Polison. 3 down for NGX. 2 of them have buyback. As they slowly chip away at Natsumi, but he is still just casually being healed up here by Lelouch. Even Xavius with the heals out, and they just can't stop him.
And Force is just playing crazy. There was a Linken's up on Mizu, and it just didn't feel that way. Now, immediately getting Doom off. I think Mizu might have been using that spell shield on himself mid-cast. So there was an opening there where the item was being used and it didn't manage to shield.
They do at least get the Aegis, John. Aegis down for Natsumi. Some good news for NGX at the least. There's now Polaris. Pretty happy with that tier 3 tower they've gotten. Just no rush for them. They are still 19k net worth ahead, and this game is theirs to throw. So they will back off and wait for NGX to try and address the issue. NGX will smoke up as 4. See if they can find some sort of straggler. This is Mavis. May get spotted, but no, he has an immediate Sakuchi out, and detection was just not there in time. They can't even catch the POS 5 Weaver. That's going to be another failed smoke attempt here from NGX's. Well, they'll try again. 5-man smoke this time. They'll go to the triangle. See if they can find anyone there, but again, it could be a very hard team fight to take. As Mavis is already around to break the smoke, and he's seen the ward placement. They'll silence him up. Normal punch is there. Back is out, and they get something, but now Force will jump in right back in onto Mizu, who gets jeweled up immediately by Lelouch. That'll be one already down straight off the bat. As Natsumi will eventually back off after popping the Stone Gaze. NGX, you can't say they'd be happy with that trade, John, but it's something.
It's something. You sacrifice Mizu, which is pretty darn big, for another Weaver kill. It does feel like NGX has only been able to find that Weaver throughout this game. He's responsible for 5 out of the 8 kills of NGX. I think if for any hero to lose, Polaris lose the right one. And they take that fight without Doom. It just goes off cooldown for Force, so they could look to re-engage, be aggressive. And for NGX, they've got multiple Lincolns once Mizu respawns. They've got to be careful with how they use that active, you know, how they share it with their teammates, because I think that's what got Mizu doomed up earlier on the high ground fight. He shielded up, I believe, Alacrity, trying to get a second shield on the Ember.
Oh, Force. Almost had that stun out onto the Ember, not quite. And now Natsumi has a Daedalus up, John. So, problematic times once again, NGX. Can you deal with this kind of damage here from Natsumi? Probably not right now, that's for sure. I guess if everything goes right in a team fight, they might be able to win it out, but that's kind of assuming you take everyone out but Natsumi and leave him till the end. They do get the bot tier 1. Force, though, having a look around for a stun. Won't quite find it, but now with the Doom out, he can lock on to the Troll, who has no help around. There's no towers to TP to save in your dream, so all he can do is just try to run the old-fashioned way as his teammates are making their way over. He's actually going to be able to survive, it seems, as they continue to chase him down, but no, the stun is found out. Infernal Blade is there in your dream. He's going to pop the battle trance and keep trying to fight Natsumi. He'll get the Stone Gaze off. Meanwhile, Lelouch finding the Polaris and DP will take him down, and in your dream's gone to boot. Another terrible team fight. In your dream, he got the bot T1, John, but again, there's no way for his team to catch up in time to try to help him.
It's just way too far out from any TP point you had here on NGX. They did manage to shove in that mid-tier 1 a little bit. It's 31 minutes in. This mid-tier 1's still standing. They can't even fully commit for that push. And the side of Polaris are just, you know, controlling the map really well. Next Roche is going to be maybe up in 30 seconds. We'll see.
Yeah. Force. They're actually going to try and jump in. Disruption, though, will buy a bit of time as Alacrity's still going to try. Does get a great kill off now. Force, he was worth a lot of gold, but Lelouch is going to be around. Problem is they had no Lincoln's Breaker, so instead they'll have to try and settle onto the Nyx Assassin. Lelouch, though, he'll be very happy with that bonus damage. Now sitting at 210 bonus. Hell, if Natsumi can't carry you, Lelouch probably will, John.
Oh yeah, he hits like a truck. And that's a really good kill, I think, considering you sacrificed Joe Cam in the end for a really big Doom kill. That's a lot of gold coming out towards Alacrity to help him build up. Trying to work towards the Ags next to have that mobility, to have that disruptive potential in the middle of these team fights. That could be one turning point for NGX. It feels like you need a lot more piled onto that. Like, we need to see some more progression here on In Your Dream to back that item spike on the Ember up. And he is going for the MKB into Satanic to take care of some of that evasion come true, to take care of the evasion on the Halberd, on the Elven Tunic. That Natsumi still holding on to. Roche timer is a bit longer here, Mike, 2 minutes. Polaris going to go on the hunt with a 3-man smoke. If they catch out Alacrity, that's going to be big.
It's a massive kill to get, but John, you've got to break the Lincolns again, and Lelouch, he needs someone to get that done. He's been very patient here on the LC, as now he will show himself and almost trying to bait Alacrity in. Alacrity, though, realizing something is a little bit awry, tries to back off. Remnant is there as well, and he's going to be just fine. Polaris Esports could not catch him in time. And I suppose this is just one thing that NGX can do, is just keep split pushing the lanes out. Just keep kind of baiting the whole of Polaris Esports to try and chase one hero, while the rest keep farming. But again, it does feel like in the meantime, Natsumi's still just outscaling everybody. 27k net worth, to be exact, on this Medusa. Almost doubling the Troll Warlord by In Your Dream right now, and well, they're still trying here, NGX. They're not out of this game one yet, but I still ask myself, how do you get back into it?
At this point, a really good team fight. You've got to protect Mizu. He does go in for the vac wall on the high ground or in the Roche fight. I think that could go NGX's way as well. And this playstyle they have, as you pointed out, Mike, this is the ideal. Just avoid fights, use Alacrity to bait them out, get what farm you can, and once Polaris makes a move, you're going to be equipped with a couple more items. Jokam, he's got his Ags up. So that high ground defense, the Roche fight, potentially coming out from NGX, is going to be strong with a vac wall, along with all the Nyx spells and that huge AoE. And that's something Polaris might get caught off guard with if they're not careful. So I think it's all about execution now for NGX. They've got a lot of tools to play with. Unfortunately, you lose out in one part on that Ags for Alacrity. And 3 minutes off. He is a bit low on the gold anyway, so it's not the biggest loss. And they are still clumping bot. Force is all by himself there.
He's got that new Force staff up though, so Force does remain relatively protected here on this Doom. So hard to catch this man. He's just so mobile right now. While this is happening, Polaris Esports just waiting around the Roshan pit. And they've timed it very well, because it is going to spawn up right now, but NGX, they'll do the same. 4-man smoke is there from our Radiant team as they'll try to make their way over. And I think we can all agree, this Roshan, you cannot really afford to give away for free. You've got to try and fight this one out, because this will be mid-ranks to go down, and probably another side lane if they do get this Aegis to go the way of Polaris. Problem is, it's already gone. It just happens way too quick, especially with Lelouch around with that much damage. And now NGX, it's back to split pushing, but Lelouch, he might be able to find out this Ember. Alacrity is barely going to be able to get out in time. We'll see how well they can hold high ground now, John. It's NGX. I don't think they have another choice.
No. It's where their odds look best. Nyx, Ags, Vac Wall. It is pretty potent team fight coming out from NGX, so I think they should be able to pull up against Polaris. Remember, the replicate damage, the replicants coming through from that wall are going to do a lot with Natsumi's farm with the damage output of Lelouch. It will hurt, so you just need to line your shots right.
We jump, there's a normal punch and the wall of replica. Natsumi, he's completely out of mana. Doesn't matter though, the impel is there again. They're getting plenty of damage off. They might be able to get the Aegis gone, but no. Xavius is there to save with the demonic cleanse. And Natsumi, he'll just go for a reset. Right back to the fountain, no need to rush. I suppose like you've been talking about this whole game, John, that's the way you defend. With this Aghanim's Nyx, and of course the Darkseer wall, and even the normal punch. Those illusions are starting to hurt quite a lot, but well, Polaris Esports, they already know exactly what the plan is, and they just make sure Natsumi's the only one near the wall. They don't bring everyone clumped up, they don't risk anyone else's life, they just put the Medusa's body forward. And as long as you've got the Aegis up, you could just keep doing that.
Just no need to take any big risks here for the side of Polaris. They know how far ahead they are. They know that there's still room for NGX to scale into this late game point, and there's no pressure for them to make any moves just yet. As long as the Aegis has this much time left, you can expect them to be very patient with the next few minutes. You are getting steady build-up still for In Your Dream. He does have the Manta on top of his BKB, so he's not completely isolated, having to use only one defensive item. He is still lacking a severe amount of damage, but it does feel like they are just depending on Mizu now to deliver the goods. He does have a refresh up on that Darkseer, so double vac, double wall coming into play is going to be really big. They just need to find a way to get that done. They just need Mizu to get that big vac wall, and as we've seen, you can at least melt through someone.
Lelouch, he's right in. With the BKB up, they're going to try and take down the Nyx Assassin mid-impact, or rather, in the burrow, and they've got him. Dual damage acquired. That'll be a Nyx Assassin down for 40. But he can buy back, and now a massive vacuum wall, but where's your follow-up? Alacrity, he's going to try and jump in, but with the Stone Gaze, they can just disengage every time. The Polaris, they are out of there scot-free. But mind you, they do not get the melee barracks they're looking for. And now an immediate smoke up from NGX. They're going to try and make use of this. Stone Gaze being down for Natsumi is an opening. But Polaris, they're ready for it. They're waiting for that right moment as Alacrity has his smoke broken. The wraparound is there though. NGX moving in from the right side, trying to go in onto Mavis, but get even on the Weaver. It's not the easiest kill, and in the meantime, Natsumi goes back in after the melee barracks. Polaris Esports continue to just try and work away at these illusions. Mizu go for a normal punch, but not quite able to find it, as now the impels do fly it again, but Lelouch, he's blinked in, chains around to lock him down, but Disruption will save. I think Lelouch, he'll be happy to force the fight, but a nice vacuum impale does land, but doesn't matter because Jocam, he's going to get dueled up again in the burrow. They've got so much damage, and now In Your Dream, he's been doomed up. He does get the battle trance off in time, but what does it matter? Natsumi's just doing way too much damage with a massive vacuum wall out. Mizu, he may have saved the day. Alacrity, still trying to chase Force. He does take him down the Doom, but it's 4 down for the price of 2. Natsumi's still walking out of there, going down towards the bot lane of the barracks. And NGX, they still really got no way to defend, so Natsumi, he'll go after the T4 towers. He'll deny himself off, it looks like. Just wants the reset. And in fact, never mind the T4s. They'll go back after the second lane of barracks. Hell, they might even have time for a third.
Yeah, I think they realize that with a refresh being popped as well on the respawn of Mizu, and that same vac wall play is not going to be there. And you still have a little bit more time until the Nyx as well. Doesn't take too long for Natsumi's damage to really take care of this. And that should just be the Megas. Let's see if NGX still has a way to fight back.
Oh, Alacrity, he's trying his best, but it's just so much damage coming up from Natsumi. There's your Troll Warlord, but look at the damage output. He can't fight back. He popped the battle trance, excuse me, but it's not going to work out as In Your Dream. He's just going to stand there and man up. He's still trying, but it's just not going to work. As even Lelouch onto the Death Prophet, killing off Paulison with some more dual damage. Make that plus 300, John. And NGX.SEA, they are now against Megas. still, as much as they try to fight, it's just not working.
I mean, they've had a couple of good moments in that high ground defense. It just feels disjointed. Whenever they get that good vac wall going, Joe Cam's not in position, or he's forced to buy back and can't get in time for the burrow. So you miss out on that follow-up. You pointed it out. When they get to his big vac walls, the follow-up's just not quite there. And you need that combination to go flawlessly. And even then, you see a really good spacing from Xavius this game. He's standing so far back on that Shadow Demon. He gets the best disruptions he could hope for in the middle of those vac walls. So it almost always saves Natsumi. And they're just in a really good spot now for Polaris. NGX backs against the wall. Refresh in 40 seconds for the double vac wall. But they might not have even that, as Polaris are looking for that smoke play.
They're going straight through the Radiant base, John. They are not messing around. Lelouch, not going to see anyone quite yet. We'll go down towards the bot side, trying to find another target, but again, nobody around. Instead, why not the Fountain? Lelouch, he'll jump in onto the Death Prophet Paulison. He needs help. He needs it right now. The duel is still going, and they've got enough damage. Lelouch just hitting for 330 bonus duel damage in this game number 1. Onto the Ancient they go, and with these BKBs, how do you stop them? The answer is you don't, John. They've got game 1. Polaris Esports making it look easy. And NGX, they've got to go back to the drawing board here, John. This game 1 draft does not work out for them.
No, I mean, they got some strong comfort picks in the first phase. We saw Alacrity's Ember come true. Very early on, high priority. They had some decent solutions for the Dusa. You know, having that troll with a flexible item buildup was a possibility. And also having the Nyx was great with the Darkseer, but we didn't see the strongest lane coming out. Like, they didn't manage to bully Natsumi early on. And I think the item buildup, the item choice for In Your Dream just kind of threw them off, right? Like, they went for Battle Fury instead. It ended up being a Farm War. And that's not a Farm War. Troll wins against Dusa for the first 15 minutes. Not until that Battle Fury, but it didn't come out fast enough for In Your Dream either.
It certainly didn't, John. I kind of asked myself whether they tried to address the lanes too much with the draft and didn't really think about the entire picture, or whether they had the game plan and just did not work out. In the end, though, it is a best-of-3 series, so we are going to head off to a very short break. And, well, of course, after that break, we're going to be back with our lovely panel to discuss what really happened in this game number 1.